loves, this is the 5th week of drawing a random tarot card in a random art style. For this art project that I started with a friend, we are picking one art style per week from this tombola and one tarot card from this deck. A few words to the pieces of last week. We were drawing together the art style Surrealism using black ink pens, while she had the card 2 Wands and I had the card the Knight of Wands. 2 out of the 3 items were identical. Still, they turned out pretty different. While Mari was more looking into the aspect of illogical perspective, I was more looking into illogical scene and metaphor. So it's actually really interesting to see each time what we produce and each time how they turn out differently from one another. For this week, we have the art style Mosaic and I drew the card 8 Wands. We decided to pick the cards independently of one another so that we have a full deck by the end of 39 weeks instead of 78. At the beginning, I was a bit afraid that 8 Wands might turn out a bit boring, but on the contrary, it was one of my favorite sessions and it is one of my favorite art pieces.
Without using glass, leather or stone, I thought of 3 ways to mimic the traditional mosaic. The first is in the middle panel and is simply by drawing in the tiles. The second is a negative space drawing style, first by creating the background and then painting in the gaps. The third is by coloring in another piece of paper, cutting and then assembling the pieces into a picture. Number 1 looked really bad, which I dropped in the further consideration, and I was really convinced about number 3 and liked their way of working. But putting number 2 and number 3 up to vote on Instagram, they were both perceived well, with a slight inclination for number 2. Thus, I used number 2 for this week's project. Deciding on what to paint was much harder, because just painting 8 Wands would have been too boring. I spent some hours frustrated, reading and sketching, not really knowing what to do. One of my first thoughts, however, was to draw the Parthenon on the Athenian Acropolis in Greece. The temple has 8 pillars and would also match the topic, as many of the well-known mosaic come from Greece. Looking into the meaning of the card revealed that 8 Wands represent the freedom and space to move forward with one's plans, momentum, and getting ready to charge forward. Somehow a temple did not seem to be the right fit. Before I continue with the motif, let me show you how long it takes to draw in just this one tile. So in this regard, I was actually very relieved that number 2 was picked on Instagram instead of number 3. Number 3 would have even taken much longer. Parthenon means maiden or girl, and this term is often used for 2 goddesses of the Greek mythology. One of them is Artemis and the other is Athena. While Artemis is the goddess of wild animals and vegetation, Athena is the goddess of strategy, tactics, and warfare, as well as heroic endeavor. Athena is the daughter of Zeus, being born from his forehead. She is also said to have created the first olive tree and thus becoming the city protector of Athens, winning over Poseidon. Poseidon offered the domination over the world seas, and Athena offered the olive tree as fruits to eat and the oil to light and warm the homes. She is often depicted with a Corinthian helmet, with an amulet of a gorgon around her neck and her spear. I decided to interpret freely the 8 Wands as 8 spears, somehow in line with Greek mosaic, and the goddess of wisdom, Athena, going into battle for your goals and dreams and fueling positive change. Okay, this is how it turned out, and I kid you not, it took many hours.
Dear art friends, this is where I will be concluding the video. We will be meeting tonight for another round of art styles and tarot cards, and I will be seeing you next week.